Hello and welcome to the Kuriaknits podcast. My name is Erin and I'm so glad that you've joined me here today. In this podcast, I love to talk about everything knitting, what I'm knitting, what I'm thinking about knitting, and I've got some acquisitions today, which is very excited. I just got home from Europe and I also just found a really amazing thrift secondhand find, so I'm very excited to share that with all of you guys today. I apologize if you can hear some croakiness in my voice. I'm just getting over COVID. I am COVID free now, but it seems to be sticking around in my voice, which I don't know how long it's gonna last. We're going on almost at week 3 of having no voice. So, or not no voice, but like a weird croaky voice. So I was trying to wait to film this until my voice is back, and I was like, I can't keep waiting. So hopefully this doesn't completely destroy my voice, but I think we're doing okay. I am back home in southern Ontario. It is hot. It's like 30 degrees outside. There's a fire going on near my house. Well, that's concerning. There's trucks. I can see them. I live on the 14th floor of a building, and so we get nice views of smoke sometimes. So thankfully we're so high up we can see that like people've got it covered, but now I kind of just want to watch the situation. But yeah, I mean it's not like a residential building or anything. Anyways, side tangent, hope people are all good. So yeah, it's been lovely being home. It's been great. Just kind of, it's being away. It's given me such an appreciation for how much I love my house and my home. I had never been away from home for that long. I was gone for 6 weeks, and the longest I had been away from my home city previously was like 3 weeks, I think. So it was big for me, and I had phases of homesickness, but overall, I mean, I love traveling, but I think overall it's just given me such an appreciation for the space that I've built with my husband, and I really love this little apartment that we get to call home. So it's just been lovely. I mean, I couldn't leave when I got home. I had COVID, so I was quarantined in my house for about a week. But that was completely fine because I just wanted to like soak up the love with my dog and the love of this house that we've created, this home, this decor feels so cozy to me. So yeah, I feel so grateful to be able to go on that trip, not only for the things that we've seen, but for the appreciation that it's given me of home. Because I think being forced at home so long with COVID, I got a little bit jaded about the place that we live. And we moved during COVID, so we came into this house in 2021, and I really loved this apartment, but I was really jonesing to buy a house, and we will probably be doing that within the next year, but I'm not in as much of a rush. I don't have as much envy. Every house I walk past, I'm not looking up like the MLS. So yeah, I'm very grateful for that reason. I've just been very thankful walking around my home and seeing the coziness that surrounds me, and yeah, it's just made me feel really cozy and lovely. So let's get into the knitwear. I am not wearing knitwear today because it's 30 degrees and that's a little too hot even for my knit tanks. For me, I am someone who, I feel like I'm like a chameleon. I run warm in the summer and cold in the winter, so I just can't win ever. Yeah, so I was not going to be going for knitwear on this particular day, but I do have 2 finished objects to show you, and one is something that you've seen before, and it is this. This is Camisole number 6 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I believe this is an FO in my latest podcast, and it is an FO again because I completely frogged it and braided it. So if you'll remember in the last podcast, if you're familiar, if you've been watching for a little bit, I had talked about the fact that my original Camisole number 6, the arms were absolutely massive. It's knit in a way where it has a lower front in a higher back, and I had to wear it with the back in front because the low neck was just way too low for me. And I was discussing some reasons I thought that could be. I've lost some inches in my bust. I'm a short person, and my gauge was a little bit off. And I had a lot of you lovely people chime in the comments, people that have a lot more experience with making sure that knitwear fits really well than me. So thank you so much for your comments. I read them and took them in, and it's just made me realize there's so much to getting a perfect fit. And camisoles are one of those things where you want, if not a perfect fit, then a really good one. And I just didn't want to be stressed about like side boob wearing it. So I took it out and completely re-knit it. And what I did is I knit a size down. So I sized down to a medium, which even with the inches lost in my bust should have been too small for me. And I sized down to a 3.75 millimeter needle instead of a 4 millimeter needle. And both of those things seems to have done the trick. The way that you size the garment is you actually take away stitches in the ribbing pattern, which I think is a really cool way to size the garment. But that meant that because I went the size down, the armholes were inherently smaller as well. And so that was perfect. It seems to have solved both problems. I can wear it kind of right way around and it fits perfect. I kept it at a cropped length. That said, this one did still use a little bit more yarn. So it is a little, like just maybe an inch longer than my previous one was, but it's perfect for skirts. I've already worn it, and I am just loving it infinitely more. So I would encourage you, if you've got a piece of knitwear that's just not fitting right and you are dreading frogging it, go for it, because I just love that I'll be able to actually wear this piece now, and I won't be sitting in the back of my closet. So I actually knit almost all of this on my 8-hour flight back, which is a story in and of itself. This is actually the original piece that I got pulled aside and got asked to prove if I can knit to get through security. So I'll leave that story up in the bar and down below. It was an interesting adventure, and just seeing some of the comments. I just put that video out yesterday. One person had said that it happened to her mom as well, so maybe not so uncommon. And I'm learning that a lot of people have some very strong opinions about both airline security and knitting on planes and what you should do to prepare. And I am choosing not to engage with that debate because I also have some opinions, but I have no interest in getting into arguments with people on the internet because of that in particular. I've also gotten some very strange DMs from that video. I'm so happy that it's resonating with people, but it's bringing out some opinions in people, which I was not prepared for. So it's kind of funny to see like this very strange internet debate come to my channel, which I mean is fine by me. But anyways, this is knit in Knitting for Olive Pure Silk and Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino. I love the marling that it's created. It was inspired, the coloring was inspired by Karoline Knits, and it is very different from hers, but I still love the way that it turned out. And yeah, I don't really think I have much to say. If you want to hear me talk a little bit more about the yarn and things, you can go to the previous episode. The finished object that I'm most proud of and took quite a long time is this. Look how amazing it looks. Oh my gosh. I am so thrilled with this. This is the Rosenlund top by Sari Nordlund. Who else? And it is a vest top. She wears it as both a vest and a top. I do like it both ways. I think I'm more likely to wear it as a top with like a bralette underneath. And yeah, it's all over lace patterning. So we've got some double moss stitch here, some lace work, some cables, some more lace work. It is just a whole feast for the eyes. I am just so in love with the way that this turned out. It has a boxy fit, so it kind of falls on the arms a little bit, and I think this is my favorite piece of summer knitting that I've done yet. I think it might even beat the ranunculus that I just made, the yellow ranunculus. I am just so in love with it. That said, I don't know if I would ever knit this again because holy heck is it a challenge. The repeat for the lace is like 40, 50 rows, so it's not something that you memorize. It's not something that gets into a rhythm. You are constantly having to look at it. I memorize like this lace, this like these sections pretty fast. It's this middle panel that you constantly have to look for almost every row. There's a few places where I kind of got the gist of it, but I didn't trust myself to be able to memorize it. There's a lot to keep on top of, which is fine. It's created the most beautiful pattern, but it's also been a challenge to, it's not a challenge, it's just not mindless knitting. It's a very intentional project. So I knit this in Sandisgarn Duo. It was my first time using that yarn. It is a cotton wool blend, and I really like it. It's made like quite a nice lighter fabric, and because I'm a lot more used to working with wool, it has some of those properties of wool that I really like, but with the lightness of cotton, and I think I will definitely use it again. I used exactly 4 skeins on this. I've got like the tiniest, like maybe 5 grams left over from my 4th skein, and I had bought 5 for this because that was recommended, and I don't know what I'm going to do for my other one. I will say mine's a little bit shorter than Sari had hers, so I think that accounts for the extra skein. But again, I am a short human, and this hits me like almost at my hips, so it's a bit longer than I usually go for, but I like it that way. I think it turned out great, and I wanted to make good use of the yarn. That said, I do have extra. This is in the color Kit, and if anyone knows the story behind a lot of the Scandinavian brands using the term kit for a light color, please let me know. Does it mean something else? I don't know why kit means off-white, if you know what I mean. Like the other one is putty, and that kind of makes sense to me. I guess like some putties are like off-white colored, but kit doesn't as much. The one modification that I made is I did end up crocheting the armholes just to pull them in a little bit, and I thought it would blend in with the pattern really well. Someone had suggested that I do that with my Camisole number 6, and I didn't want to do that because I didn't think it would blend in well on the side and it would create like a seam that I didn't want for that cardigan. But for this one, because you've got the double moss stitch on the side, it just blends in really seamlessly. And this is what happens when I talk, is my nose, it sounds like it's stuffed, but it's really like my sinus is swelling up. And my voice sounds worse already, so we're gonna really try to get through this, guys. I'm so sorry if I sound annoying. I mean, I might sound annoying anyway. But yeah, I am just so pleased with how this comes out. It is really flowy and drapey. The only problem that I have is I wear almost exclusively skirts and dresses in the summer, and this is, I think, too long to wear with a skirt. I could tuck it in, but I'm not like a big tucker of things. I'm like a very much small skirt, big bottoms kind of person. So I think it's going to be a bit of a challenge to find ways to wear this, which is unfortunate because I think it's so beautiful and I really, really love it. But I think I love it so much that I will find ways to cherish it and make sure that I find ways to wear it. So yeah, the Rosenlund top, I highly recommend it. It's a newer pattern from Sari. But that said, a lot of people it seems to really have resonated with people. It seems to be quite a popular summer pattern, so I would very highly recommend it. Okay, sorry if the camera angle has changed. I just had to run downstairs. I've been selling things on Facebook Marketplace. I buy a lot of things on Facebook Marketplace, but a lot of the times I cannot be bothered to sell things on Facebook Marketplace because I can't do like curbside. I live in a building, as I mentioned, and I have to go downstairs and meet people. And sometimes people are like, hey, I'm down the street with my child in a parking lot, and can you deliver it to me? Which of course I can. I'm not gonna say no to a new mom, but It's just a little disruptive in the middle of my day. But I don't know if anyone else does this. I have like a pile of thrift store things, and then I have a pile of things that I think are too nice for the thrift store. And so I've had this pile of things that I've intended to sell for like ever. It's like designer type things, or like just nicer dresses type stuff. And yeah, I finally got around to posting it all, and thankfully there's been a lot of interest, but it's just been like running up and down the stairs or elevator of my building. So anyways, thanks for still being here. I know it's been not a lot of time for you, and the more I talk about it, the more time it becomes, but here's a little insight into my life. So let's get into some whips. Let's start off with one that is familiar to you. So this is my sweater number 15. And I don't know if it'll look like there's a lot. I'm mid-row. Why wouldn't I be mid-row? Let me just transfer these stitches over to one side so I can show you this. So I'm almost at the point where I can join the body for like join the body for the sleeves sort of thing. So it's looking like this. I think I've only done like maybe 2 more sections since the last time I showed it, so I won't spend a lot of time on this, but I've really been enjoying it. It just hasn't been my priority knit. I've been trying to prioritize summer knits. I've kind of decided that I'm going to focus on summer knits for the month of July, and then in August I'll transfer back over to doing what I really love, which is sweaters and cardigans and all of the warm stuff. But it's also just like really hot to be working on mohair, and this thing sheds like crazy. So I need to be a little bit careful about what I'm wearing when I'm working on it, like what time of day. If it's at night and I know I'm not going out anywhere, that's fine, that's one thing. But if I know I'm going to be going out, then I don't really want light green mohair all over me. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. This is knit with, sorry, I've got everything kind of behind the camera here. I'm knitting this with Filcolana Arvetta and Drops Kid Silk. And the color details can be found on my Ravelry page, but they are a really close match. I picked these up when I was in Copenhagen. I mean, everyone talks about Arvetta and Drops Kid Silk I never tried before, so this is what I particularly wanted to pick up in Copenhagen, and I'm enjoying it. It's like a standard yarn. It's superwash, which isn't necessarily my favorite kind of yarn to work with, but honestly, it's not bothering me. Like, it's superwash, but it's not like doesn't have the feel that some superwash yarns have, so I can see why people in Europe use it a lot, because it's affordable and it just kind of does the trick. And this guy has been great, except for the fact that it sheds like crazy. So this is my first time actually using properly using mohair in a project, so let me know down below if it is actually like if all mohair sheds, or if, because this is more affordable brand of mohair, if this one sheds a little bit more than the average. But yeah, that's what's going on with this project. I don't think I have much else to say. Hopefully by next time I'll have joined the body. I think I'm going to focus on it a lot more once I finish the summer projects that I have on my needles. But I also have another sweater project that I pulled out of the archive, which I will show next, that has been getting most of my sweater attention. So while this one's a little bit on the back burner, I know I will be coming back to it shortly because I do love it, and I am very excited to have the finished product. I think the other reason that I'm putting it off is because this color, like this color of green, isn't very fall color to me, so I know I probably won't wear it until like January. Like, I'll wear it, but probably it won't be on heavy rotation until closer to January, just because I find in fall I'm reaching a lot more towards warm colors, and so I just know that I won't be reaching towards this, and it's just kind of put off my motivation to get it done quickly. If you've been around for a while, you might recognize this next one. I have pulled it out of the dredges once before and then didn't work on it. And now I pulled it out again, and I've actually gotten some stuff done on it, and I think it'll be in proper rotation now. I'm so excited to finish this. This is the Snow Crocus by Midori Hirose, and it is just a beautiful sweater. So the reason I pulled this out is because I needed something on bigger needles. This is knit on 6mm needles, and I have been getting a mild case of knitter's elbow or tennis elbow. And it's something that I've never had before, and it's something that I find is aggravated when I'm using smaller needles, basically anything under 4mm. My elbow is not loving at the moment, so I need to really limit the amount of time I'm spending with my smaller needles. And I knew I had this one sitting and ready to go, and I was like, do I cast something else on? As much as I'd love to do that, I would much rather finish something that I've already started. And this is something that I know I will wear through fall and winter. It's just like the perfect color, and it's beautiful, although I am likely going blonde next week. I've been blonde before. I really want to go back, and I don't know how well this will suit blonde hair, but I guess we'll find out. I'll be going a darker blonde, so maybe it won't matter as much. But anyways, I pulled this out of the archive, and I have so basically you do German short rows to bring the sleeves around so that you can work them in the round all the way down. And the reason that I have the sleeve on hold here before I finish it is because you kind of pick up the added stitches where you put on this, where you pick up the added stitches that you created for the sleeve, and then join those in the round. And I wanted to make sure that I had joined in the round, and I've done maybe 3 rounds since joining to figure out the fit, to make sure I'm making the cuff long enough to make the arms long enough. And so this sleeve may look a little short because this sweater is actually made with a long cuff, like forearm length cuff, and I've been going back and forth on whether I want the cuff to be that long. There's instances on the Ravelry page of people creating a shorter cuff and a longer cuff, and I like both, but I don't know which would suit me best. I have a feeling that I'll choose kind of a mid-range cuff, maybe like this long of a cuff, as opposed to like a cuff starting about here. So that's my thought right now, but I really need to figure out fit. So right now my plan is to finish the body. So what I did is I knit this sleeve basically until it would be for the cuff, and then I knit this sleeve just enough so that I had finished the short rows and it started in the round, so that I could pick up those stitches to be able to start the body in the round. And it's been so nice to work on 6mm needles again. And after working that Sari Nordlund pattern with all of the crazy lace and cabling, it has been so nice to work on like a very easy cable pattern. I remember when I started this, it was a lot for me. This pattern is hard to follow, to say the least. It is 60 something pages, just because they are so thorough with their sizes. There's instructions for every single size, independent. But they do the thing where they're like, follow size extra small, and then come back, and then follow these directions for small, and then come back. And so you're constantly moving pages. And when I first started this in December, I was overwhelmed, and I was really, really slow at doing this here, just because it seemed so complicated to me, just the way that the pattern was written. And I don't think it's written that badly, but I do think it's really overwhelming to read for a new knitter. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this pattern for a new knitter for that reason. That said, the techniques in here actually aren't too difficult. It's just the way that the pattern's written is a little bit hard to understand, I found, as a newer knitter. But now, as someone who has now 6 more months of knitting under my belt, it is so easy. I'm familiar with the pattern, and I can basically go in the round on this thing without even looking at it. I mean, it's really easy to memorize this pattern. So yeah, I've really been enjoying knitting on this. I've only knit on it for like 2 days, and I finished a whole sleeve, a whole section of short rows, and I joined. And it just reminded me of how fast you can go on 6mm needles. You're flying. And I am so fast on the stockinette portions of this on 6mm. I forgot how much I can fly. So that has been lovely to rediscover. I am jonesing to get like a very vanilla raglan sweater on my needles, because I think I could just bang it out and just enjoy the process of mindless knitting. But this has almost fulfilled that purpose for me, especially for this section, because it is pretty much mindless for me. But yeah, I've been really enjoying getting back to this and getting back to like heavier sweater knits. I didn't realize how much I had missed it and how much it like, I find that the silks and cottons that I've been using in my summer knitting have kind of been digging into my hands a little bit. I'm constantly moisturizing them. And this is just so like nice and calming on the hands. So it's made me just really want to get back to winter knits. But I will treat myself to this sweater in these warm months. And that's probably all I should do or can handle, because it is a little heavy when I'm knitting on it. I do find that I sweat a little bit, just because you've got some heavy 100% wool content just sitting on your lap, and that's not necessarily the best feeling in the middle of summer when it's 30 degrees. That said, we are very blessed to have air conditioning in this house, but we keep it quite warm because it's expensive. So, and my husband likes it that way. He is someone that loves the hot. He's like on a 40-degree day, he is loving it, and I am dying. So that gives you some insight into our marriage. That's where we're going. So when I dragged him to Northern Europe this past June, he was not as thrilled. He was very upset when it was like 14 degrees in the middle of June, and I was thriving and loving life. He's like, why is it so cold? So anyway, I am knitting this in a yarn that was new to me when I first started knitting it, and it is Woolstock Blue Sky Fibers, and it's 100% fine Highland wool. Looks like this. It comes in really big skeins. So one of these is $30, but it's 370 yards. It's 150 grams of wool. And I really love it because it means that you don't have to break your yarn as much, which is lovely. And it smells amazing. It's so squishy for me. I think I had said this in the podcast I initially started about this. Wow. Words, hard. In the podcast I first talked about this sweater is that I see this as like the step up from Cascade 220. It has basically the same gauge for me. It's a worsted weight. They also come out with a fingering weight in this, and I have not tried it yet, but I would love to. But yeah, it's just like a little bit more luxurious. It's not a fabric that I think I'll reach for a lot, just because it is a little bit more on the expensive side. With the amount of yarn I had to buy for this sweater overall cost will be about $100, and that's just not something I can swing for every one of my knitting projects, especially because I knit pretty fast and I knit very often. So that's not something I want to be spending on every single one of my sweaters, but it's nice for a beautiful treat. I will say that the colors in the large hanks are a little bit limited. It's mostly natural colors, which is fine by me. There is a beautiful charcoal color, which I would love to get in this yarn, and I think will be my next choice when I do decide to invest in this yarn again. But they also have 50-gram hanks that you can buy. They're $10. So a third of the side, a third of the price, and they come in a lot more colors. So if you are looking for some color work or some color knits and this yarn has intrigued you, yeah, check out the smaller hanks because they have those as well, and they seem to have a lot more variety. What's Peruvian wool? That's probably why I like it. I find myself reaching a lot towards Ontario and Peruvian wools. I don't know why. I just tend to like them. Yeah. Anyways, highly recommend that wool. I am really loving it. That said, I haven't worn it yet, but this has been sitting in a bag for like 6 months, and it looks pristine. So I'm loving every single part of this so far, and I'm excited to continue knitting on this and to have the finished project. I think that's like the best knits is when you're excited both for the process and for the finished object. I think it's just such a delight and a joy, and this is really reminded me why I love knitting so much. So this next one I don't have a lot of progress on, and it doesn't look like much, but I had picked up a little bit more of the knitting for Olive Pure Silk, and I really wanted to put it to good use before the summer was over. And so I've made this little thing. This is the start of the Moonset Tea by Ozetta, and this is the first of her patterns that I've ever made. I have her, what's it called? She has like a shirt jacket, and I have the yarn in stash for that. I'm planning to cast that on probably in September. I'm really excited to knit it. But I figured I would give this one a go because the suggested yarn is actually knitting for all of pure silk. That said, I'm probably going to have to make some modifications because I definitely am going to have to make some modifications because I don't have the exact amount that she is recommending. So I'm starting off in this gray, super light gray color. It is in the color Haze, and it looks like this in the skein. It's a little messy because it was packed up in a suitcase really tight, but I had picked this up a little bit more last minute before I left Copenhagen, and I picked up 2 balls of it. And I had initially thought I would make a camisole with it. With all the troubles I've been having with camisoles lately, I decided against making a camisole. I was actually thinking of trying to make camisole number 4 again, but I was like, you know what? I'm not putting myself through that. I was like, I could save it until next year, but I'm like, oh, next year I'll have other things that I'll want to cast on. So I saw the Moonset tee, and it's a tee that I actually really love the design of. It is knit on 3.25 millimeter needles, which has been aggravating my elbow a little bit, but it's in stockinette right now, and most of it's in stockinette, and I'm excited to get in the round because I think that my hands and my elbows will be okay with that in the end. So this is made with this shaping. This is like the back panel is made with German short rows, and actually decided to make it with wrap and turns. And because of that, I didn't account for the change in how the pattern would be written with German short rows and wrap and turns. And so I ended up having to rip it back and do it again because I was doing far more turns than I needed to. So this is the second time I've knit this panel, but I finished the short rows, and now I'm just knitting back and forth to create the back panel. And then you pick up the fronts and da 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 da. But because this pattern for my size calls for about 4 skeins or 4 balls of the Knitting for All of Pure Cotton, which is a yarn that I love, by the way. I would highly recommend picking it up and trying it if you haven't already. It is a fingering weight pure silk, but the silk isn't as silky as a lot of other silk yarns. It's a little bit rougher, but I actually find that it makes it a lot easier to knit with, and the final product is just as luxurious in my opinion. So I didn't have 4 skeins of that color, but I do have 2 or almost 2 leftover skeins of the pure silk in the blue and in the yellow. So this sunflower color is left over from my ranunculus, where I had held this with cotton. In this blue color, you'll recognize from my camisole number 6, which I had just shown, and I had quite a bit left over. So I figure if I do some stripes in the body, I think I can get enough length on this thing. So my plan is to finish the top section and to do stripes kind of below the bust. I really like that style of knit. I had considered doing color blocking, but I don't know if I'll wear it as much. I actually think I'll wear the stripes a little bit more. My biggest conundrum right now is how much to vary the striping, to do, I don't know if I want to do uniform striping or a bit more of random striping, and I'm planning to learn how to do jogless stripes as well so that it's seamless along the back. So if you have any opinions of how I should stripe or block these colors, I think they look really lovely together. They're colors that I wear quite often, and I think it'll become a t-shirt that I actually really like to wear. Because of concerns of how much yarn I had, I ended up sizing down. I was firmly a size large, but because of the positive ease that's allotted, I'm just allowing myself less positive ease, and I'm knitting the size medium to try and get the most out of my yarn that I can, so it will result in slightly less positive ease that is recommended for my size, but I think that'll be okay. I'm just going to monitor and try it on. Thankfully it's knit from top down, so I'm just going to try it on a lot. And obviously I'm short, so I'm hoping I can usually save quite a bit in the length and get away with less skeins than usual, but this might be the smallest gauge I've ever knit a project in, so I don't know if I'm accounting for things correctly. So I mean, if all else fails, I can get this in Canada. There's a shop in Toronto that has it, and it won't be the same dye lot, but I think it'll be fine. I can go pick up another one of these. I'm in Toronto in a couple weeks, so I can just run in and grab it. It's really not the end of the world, but I'm hoping to get most of this done by the time I'm going to Toronto in, I think it's 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks. I'm getting a new tattoo, which is very exciting, from a designer that I have been admiring for over a year now. So I was very excited to get in with her. And yeah, I'm hoping to get enough done to be able to know if I need another ball of that so that I can get it while I'm in Toronto. I usually don't mind, like, driving to Toronto is a pain, but I can go on off hours. But gas is so darn expensive that I'd rather get it done in one trip, you know? And the reason I don't want to ship it is because you usually need to get to a certain threshold to ship, and I have bought too much yarn and I don't need more at this moment anyway. I'll do what I have to do to be able to get this thing done, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this, but I am excited to be knitting on it. I think it's a really beautiful design, and I'm excited to be able to try a new designer. That's always such a joy to be able to see how someone else formats their patterns. I find it really fascinating as someone who used to be a graphic designer, still dabbles in it. I find it really interesting how people lay out their patterns. And Rosetta uses a lot more photos than I'm used to, which has been really cool. Oh, sorry, it's my computer. Which has been really cool to see. So I will update my progress on this next time. I'm hoping to have maybe to the bust done by next time. That's kind of what I'm thinking of, but yeah, if you've knit this before, let me know your experience and like how much yarn it used up. I was trying to look at what other people have said of how much yarn it used up for them, and I think it'll be fine. I believe it'll be fine, but I have some worries. Let's move on to, I think, the last whip. So here's another project that I'm playing yarn chicken with. And it is, surprise, surprise, another Sari Nordlund pattern. This is the Riento tee by Sari Nordlund. Is that the right way around? No, it is not. Ta-da! It is a very simple tee with a double moss stitch pattern and a little bit of lace on the side. And look at the structure that it's making. Like, it's pulling up the fabric in such a cool way. I have been really enjoying this pattern. It's really intuitive. Like the last pattern, I am currently making the back panel flat. This pattern originally has puffy sleeves, and I'm not a huge fan of those puffy sleeves, and so I had kind of written off this pattern as one that I didn't want to try. And then I had clicked on the page for whatever reason. Oh, I know the reason. Sari Nordlund had a sale on her summer patterns, which is how I got the previous vest pattern that I'd shown and this pattern. I got them both in the sale. It was like 30% off, I think. So I was looking at her summer patterns and I looked in to see how other people were wearing the shirt, and she has a modification that like chops off the sleeves and it's just the tank top. And I actually loved the look of the tank top. So that's what I'm planning to do, is to make it with the sleeves. I don't have the yarn for the sleeves anyway, so that solves that. And I really just love the tank pattern. I'll try and pull up someone's tank so I can show it on the screen, but that is my inspiration. This is going to be a very cropped rendition of it. So I picked up this yarn last minute in Copenhagen, and it's yarn that I've never used before. Again, it's Sandisgarn line, and I've heard really great things about this yarn. It is 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen, and it's really lovely to work with. It's really light. I absolutely love this color. It's the color light beige. It's got just white and like the lightest of beige. It's almost got it leans on the warm tone, like kind of a pinky tone. And those are welded together. So I'm assuming the white is the linen thread and that the darker, or maybe the viscose, and the darker is the cotton. But anyways, it's beautiful to work with. It is so beautiful. I absolutely love the way that it is working up in this stitch. I think it's gorgeous. This pattern people have used anywhere from 3 to 8 skeins or the equivalent of that of this yarn, and I have 3. So as someone who is not the most petite of people, I mean, I'm petite, but I'm not petite, I think I would have needed 4 to make this, but Sari makes almost all of her knits quite long, so I think if I make it cropped, I can get away with it. If not, my local yarn store, or one that is local-ish to me, within a 30-kilometer radius, has line. They do not have this color though, but they have on their website that they're getting more colors in at the end of July. So I have hope that they will get it in and I can pick one up if I need to. But they are actually pretty much the only shop within like 200 kilometers that has it, that stocks Sandisgarn line. So we will see. We will see. I have hope. I mean, if all else fails, I'll put it on some barber cords or some extra cords and put it on hold until I make an online order somewhere, and I will get it when I get it and deal with the dye lot issues. But I loved it so much to not try, and I think I can get a cropped tank out of it, I believe. And I mean, it has the same yardage as this one did, and this is 4 skeins and it's quite long. And the armholes are a bit longer than I would have liked. So I'm being mindful of the armholes, and this is also a lot of lace, whereas the other one is not as much lace. So this one really took a lot of yarn. So I'm thinking with 3 skeins, I should be able to get enough of a tank. I believe. Again, this is all about, this is a safe, good, wholesome place here. And we are believing that we are going to make it done. But anyways, I'm really loving this yarn. I would recommend it, at least for the knitting experience. And hopefully I can make it work. It's really funny because I got 5 skeins of that other Sandisgarn yarn and 3 of this, and if I had just gotten 4 of each, I think I would have been perfect. But I got them from different shops at different times, and I was not thinking. So, you know, lessons learned. We're learning our lessons, and we're gonna make do with what we have because I am trying not to break my bank. But as you will see, I've got some acquisitions. Some of them I got last minute in Copenhagen and didn't get to share in that haul. We've got some thrift finds, and then we've got a very exciting needle purchase. So if you're not interested in acquisitions, thank you for watching. I will see you next time, but if you are, let's take a look. Okay, so the camera probably jumped again, and I once again apologize, but let's get into some of the acquisitions. So let's start first in Copenhagen. So I had put up on my Instagram stories, as I was packing up to leave Copenhagen, I realized that there was some extra room in my suitcase, which I was not anticipating. And so I was like, do I get some more yarn? And y'all are enablers. And so I did go get some more yarn, and I got this. This is Drops Lima. It is a yarn that I've never tried before. I can get this here in Ontario, but not super close to me, and I never tried it before, and it was cheaper in Europe, so I decided to go for it. This is 65% wool, 35% alpaca, and it's 109 yards per 50 grams. So it's a DK weight, and it's in this gray color. I actually thought I was getting like a blue-gray color because it looks in certain lights blue-gray, but it's definitely just a straight gray that leans cool. Because I was trying to, I realized I just don't have a lot of blue yarns and sweaters, and part of the reason for that is, one, blue is one of my favorite colors. I really love it, but I find it very difficult to wear, especially in sweaters, because a lot of my pants are bluey, and then I'm wearing blue on blue, and I just find it very difficult to wear that for whatever reason. I don't have a lot of like light colored pants, which I think is what blue sweaters would look really good with. But anyways, I'm happy to have another gray sweater. That's fine. I got 8 skeins of this, I think, and I don't know what I'm gonna make with it, but I thought it would be just a good standard yarn to be able to make something with. I think I'm just gonna make a simple raglan is my idea. I think that the drape from the alpaca will just make a really nice wearable sweater, maybe a little bit oversized if I can swing it, and that's kind of my idea for this. So it's a bit of a boring yarn, but I was very excited to grab it. While I was in Europe, one of my local yarn stores, Galt House of Yarn in Cambridge, Ontario, had a moving sale. So they are moving to a bigger space down the street, and they had, I think, 30% off almost all of their stock. And while I didn't need any more yarn, I have been talking about possibly getting a new needle set for a little while, and I decided to get some Chow Goose. I was waiting for a sale. I was gonna wait till my birthday / Christmas, November, December. But I saw the sale and I was like, you know what? I might as well get them all out there on sale. And I did. And so I ended up getting the interchangeable small set. So it includes a US 2 to a US 8, which is a 2.75 millimeter to a 5 millimeter. So you can see it there. And it came with 3 cords, which I've just been storing on the side here. I didn't realize that they use the same case, so you can just collect the other sizes and put them in, which is kind of cool. I will definitely also be getting some more cords because 3 cords just doesn't seem like enough, especially with the amount of cords I've collected from my knit pick set. And I still plan on using my knit pick set in the rotation, especially with just 3 cords. As you saw, I have 4 whips. So I will definitely be using the knit pick set, obviously with projects that need more than a 5 millimeter, but also just when I can't swing, using these ones. But I have been loving them so far. The cords are honestly so great. People have definitely not overhyped them. I was a little worried that I would get them and be disappointed that they weren't everything I could possibly dream of, but they are fantastic. The one thing I am surprised about is the way that the US sizing works. So the US 2 and the US 3, I didn't realize that it jumped from a 2.75 to a 3.25. So I'm lucky that I got, when I was trying out the Chow Goose, I got a fixed needle in a 3 millimeter to just try it out, and I'm lucky I did that because now I have a 3 millimeter size that I can use in the Chow Goose. And I didn't realize this didn't come with 3 millimeters, so I thought that was quite interesting of how those sizes jump in an odd way. But the reason I got the small set is because these are the sizes that I use most, especially the 4.5, 5s. I knit a lot of projects on that weight. So this just made most sense for me. I will probably invest in a 5.5 and a 6 at the very least in the Chow Goose. And then I also, as I said, want to get some more cords, but I can build up that collection as I go. The one thing that has been a little bit strange for me is now having 2 kind of pouches of needles that I need to keep track of. I used to have everything in my knit pick set. I'd have crochet hooks in there, I'd have extra fixed needles in there. It's just kind of a workhorse, but I cannot fit all of these in there. So now I've got 2 pouches, and I don't know if it's worth investing in a larger pouch. I think I'd prefer that, honestly, but I'm not in a place where I want to invest in that now. I know that there's some beautiful leather ones that are more like books. Like, there's so many options out there. But I think I'm gonna stick with this for now until I realize what I really want to do, and I realize how many of these needles I'm going to collect. So I'm kind of just feeling out what it's like to live with 2 sets of needles and to work with 2 sets of needles, because that's very new to me, and figure out my needs before I go making any purchases. But yeah, I'm so excited to have these. They are absolutely amazing, and I'm excited to be able to grow my collection. It's been such an amazing joy to be able to invest in my craft, and I can't say it's improved my knitting, but it's definitely improved my knitting experience, and for me, that is worth it. So in making this purchase, I needed to get it to $200 to be able to get free shipping. ordinarily I'd go pick it up, but again, I was overseas, and so I told my husband he has been wanting me to make him a sweater, and I'm planning to make it for his birthday, which is in December. And so he had felt a bunch of my sweaters at home a month or two ago, and he had really liked Cascade 220, the sweaters that I had in Cascade 220. So I showed him the website, and I showed him the Cascade 220 page, and I was like, pick a color and I will happily make you a sweater. And he picked a navy. So this is just a standard Cascade 220 navy yarn. It is, do I have a color name here? 8393. I think it's just called navy. But this is one of my favorite yarns to work with, so I was very glad that he liked the feel of this. It is just 100% wool, but it's not like super scratchy. It's pretty mass produced, so I think it's just more of a workhorse yarn. I usually grab it for color work projects. It's worsted weight. It's just like great to work with. I really like this yarn. And yeah, I'm planning to make him just a plain vanilla sweater, just like a raglan. So I got 5 skeins of this. He is a thin guy, but a tall guy. So I'm gonna have to make it quite tall, but in terms of men's sizes, he's like between a small and medium. So I looked up some patterns just to get an idea of how much I need. I'm probably just gonna wing it because it's just a simple raglan sweater. I've got his measurements, and it looks like I would need about 1,000 yards, and this is just over 1,000, and I know I could pick some more up. Thankfully with Cascade 220, I have had instances where I've had to go pick up another skein before, and their color dye lots I find very uniform, so I'm not worried if I have to go pick up a 6th skein, but I am unreliable with going to return the skeins that I don't use. So I'd rather, I know they recommend getting too much and then returning it, but I tend to get too little, especially if it's a yarn like this. So yes, and that should be all of the acquisitions I have, but I do have 2 more. So I was perusing Kijiji, and I usually do most of my purchases on Facebook Marketplace, but we are in the market for a new dining room table, and I would prefer to get secondhand. So I've been checking almost every day on Marketplace for a table, and I was looking on Kijiji just to see if there's anything on there that wasn't on Marketplace, and we have not found one yet. But while I was perusing, they tend to suggest yarn ads to me because I have been one to frequent the secondhand yarn market on Marketplace and Kijiji, and this was a suggested ad for me on Kijiji. So this is Blue Sky Fibers worsted cotton, and I saw this ad for 10 skeins for $50, and these skeins are usually $20 a piece, so that was an amazing deal. This cotton is so soft. It is 100 grams and about 150 yards, so it's a worsted weight cotton, which is a bit thicker of a cotton than I usually go for, but I think I'm going to knit this into a summer cardigan, and it's just going to be a bit lighter to wear in fall or in summer evenings. I think it's going to be really nice. I don't know that this color necessarily suits me super well, but I think it'll be fine, and if all else fails I can dye the final product. But for 10 skeins of this, and they're usually 20 bucks, like that's such an amazing deal. I had to go for it. And then I was looking through the other things that she was selling, and she had a lot of yarn for sale. It seemed like she was destashing her whole thing, but this yarn caught my eye, and I'm so glad that it did. This is 100% Ontario wool, and it is from a company called the Philosophers Wool Co. This was stuck in the plastic bag that she gave it to me in, so it's 113 grams, and it says good for you, good for us all. So fun. So I did a little bit of digging about this yarn because I was so fascinated. It's definitely a rougher, more rustic yarn. There's some lanolin still in here, so it smells very, very sheepy, but I actually really like that. It reminds me of the wool that I got at the Hamilton Yarn Festival that I went to a couple months ago. Very, very similar to that yarn. I mean, they're both Ontario grown yarns, so that's not surprising necessarily, but I'm super excited. This has like purples and greens in there. I don't know if you're getting a good picture of that, but it's just so beautiful. And there's like literal hay stuck in here. Look at that. So thrilled to have this. I got, I thought it was 10 skeins. It turned out it was 11 skeins of this. Oh, and I was going to tell you about this company. So this Philosopher's Wool company, I ended up doing some research afterwards because I had never heard of it. And unfortunately it closed. It was a family-run business, a husband and wife team they were kind of north of Toronto, I think. And unfortunately, the woman behind the company passed away in 2020, and the company kind of ceased to exist after that. They were a homegrown wool making factory, and they dyed many beautiful colors and kind of did sales wholesale, or you could buy from their farm directly. I found a lovely interview of them, and they just seemed like the most lovely couple, and I feel very very grateful to have my hands on some of this. I was looking at and some people are destashing it on Ravelry. If you are interested in this yarn in particular, I couldn't find any colors I like, but it's definitely a yarn that I'll be looking out for secondhand. So I'm sure a lot of people in my general vicinity have this sitting somewhere in their stash, but I feel very lucky to be able to get my hands on this. It is so nice, and to get it for the price that I did is amazing. So she was selling this slot for $50 and this slot for $50, and I said, would you do it both for $80? And she said yes. So I got 21 skeins of yarn for $80, which is an unbelievable deal, especially knowing the story behind this yarn. I think it sold for $10 to $12 a skein, so also just a good deal, but I would have paid more for this yarn. It is so nice. In such like a luxury, and to be able to know the amazing story behind the people and the love that went behind it is so meaningful to me. So again, I just said how difficult I find blue is to wear, especially a medium blue like this, but I think the variation in the yarn is going to make it a little bit more wearable for me. I don't know why, but I love this color. I'm super drawn to it. I'm actually considering making a November jacket by PetiteKnit with it, which is brioche, which I've never tried before. But I've been really loving the look of the pattern lately, and I didn't have any quantities that would be enough for it because brioche is a bit of a yarn guzzler, and I have 11 skeins of this, which I think will be more than enough for that jacket. So I am so lucky to be able to have found this secondhand. I feel yeah, just very blessed to have this in my life. So yeah, I get asked a lot how I find so many yarns, amazing yarns secondhand, and a lot of it is luck, but a lot of it's persistence. When I am in the mood for thrifting, I'm going probably once a week, and I have a rotation of stores in my area that I go to and take a look. And then Marketplace, I'm on almost every single day when I'm looking for something specific. So like right now I'm looking for a dining room table because things get taken really fast, like things go. So if this is something that you're interested in pursuing, if you're looking for secondhand yarn or secondhand something else, I would be looking every single day because things really do go fast, and you gotta be on it. So it's almost a hobby in and of itself. I've even seen needles. There was a woman that was selling a loom, and I almost got it, like a spinning loom, which was beautiful. A spinning wheel, it was from the 50s and it was stunning, and I think if I had a house and not an apartment, I absolutely would have, but we just don't have the space for that, nor am I particularly interested in getting into spinning. I just want to look at it. But you can find like really amazing, cool things on Marketplace. Some of our furniture is from Marketplace. We're trying to get a new table on Marketplace, and I would definitely recommend looking up secondhand shops in your area because yeah, you just never know the things that you can find. But anyways, I'll wrap this up here. I've got to run anyways. I've got lunch plans, but I hope you are all having an amazing week. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.